this year, there were two Hasidim that were with the Frierdiker Rebbe the whole time, even in Kastrama. We'll get to that soon. One was a Chassid called Eli Chaim Altois, and another one was a Chassid called Michal Dvorkin. So of Eli Chaim, we have many written notes of Eli Chaim Altois. And he writes that the Frierdiker Rebbe was saying how he was terrified of that year. He knew something was going to happen. He just says, I never thought it would happen to me. And there were many things that happened before the Frierdiker Rebbe blew the shofar. The Frierdiker Rebbe, before you blow the shofar, there's Kapitel Mem Zayin, right, that we say 7 times, Lama Natseyah. So the Tzemach Tzedek in 1843, it's all connected to the story, the Tzemach Tzedek went through a period of 90 days when he was challenging the Tsarist government. And he was also willing to give his life. And the Frierdiker Rebbe quoted statements of the Tzemach Tzedek. But in that year, in 1843, before the Tzemach Tzedek said Lama Natseyah, he shouted out, he says, my heart shouts Lama Natseyah. He said that in Russian. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said the same thing. So the Hasidim were already scared. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, in 1927, he made a decree on Simchas Torah that Hasidim, you should demand, and from all the Jews you should tell them, that the Frierdiker Rebbe is asking, to us he's demanding, that we should say Tehillim every day. The Chittas that we have today began connected to Yud Beiz Tammuz. In 1927 it was Tehillim. And then when our Rebbe wrote the Hayom Yom, before he became Rebbe, so that's when they added to it the Tanya and the Chumash. Even though the mimic to say Chumash was going all the way back to the Baal Shem Tov and beforehand. But there was a decree to say Tehillim, and the Frierdiker Rebbe told Eli Chaim Altois that after he made the takana to say Tehillim, his fear was mitigated, was minimized. It didn't go away. That was that year. So, and Simchas Torah, the Frierdiker Rebbe was very bitter. And there was a whole build-up. The Frierdiker Rebbe knew they're going to get it. And the main thing is that they were telling Jewish parents, if you're going to send your kids to an observant cheder, we're going to arrest you, the parents. And if we're going to arrest the parents, your kids anyways won't have a Jewish education. They'll be without religious parents. They're going to be adopted by the non-Jewish neighbors. Send them to public school. And logically, you have to listen to them. Because what's the point of sending your kids to cheder if the next day you're going to be sent away 10 years to Siberia and the kids won't have a religious parent at home? So the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote the whole story that he went, he went to Moscow to meet Dr. Rosen. He asked Dr. Rosen for $40,000. He used to meet him twice a year. And he writes that when he's on the train, a communist, not a Jew, a goy, the goy were not so bad in the beginning, was sitting with him. And he tells him, you're Harav Schneer's son. He said, yeah. And they had a whole conversation. And that communist told the Frierdiker Rebbe that his father was a chassid of the Tzemach Tzedek. And he asked the Frierdiker Rebbe what hotel is he staying in. And the Frierdiker Rebbe writes how he had a dilemma if he's going to tell him what hotel he's telling him. Maybe the Jewish communists, the Yafseks, are going to find out, and they're going to go make problems with him. The Frierdiker Rebbe, much like a spy, he took 2 hotel rooms. And he writes in the description how he left one hotel room to the window. And how he went from one hotel room to another hotel room, and he met Dr. Rosen. And he writes the challenges when you're asking for money from a person and you don't have a piece of paper with you. And you have to remember what Moisés needs, how much money for. Everything was in his head. But that's in Moscow. That's where he went to Dr. Rosen. The Hasidim found out that the Rebbe is there. So they made a fabrengen on Purim. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said the Maimer B'Kibul HaYehudim. And we'll continue after Eli Chaim. You should know that the Ba'ater Tzad, the last Maimer the Rebbe edited, that we learned in Kibul Tammuz, that Maimer is based on the Kibul HaYehudim that the previous Rebbe said, and Purim cut in the year he got arrested. And the Frierdiker Rebbe in that Maimer was saying that now is a time of self-sacrifice. And we have to do things that are beyond logic. And he told Jewish people that no one is allowed to send the kids to public school. Even though it meant that the parent, the father, he sent to slave labor for many years. And what good will come from that? And that's when the Frierdiker Rebbe went into a mode that he began to demand of his Hasidim that they should mamish give their lives for Yiddishkeit. when the previous Rebbe came back to Leningrad on Purim itself, there was a Fabrengen that the previous Rebbe fainted a few times during the Fabrengen. And he seemingly he didn't remember what happened because he asked people to give chazara. In the middle of that Fabrengen, the Frierdiker Rebbe stood up and he ripped open his shirt. He ripped open his Tammuz, and he pointed to his chest and he told his Hasidim, when you're going to see this body burning,